Welcome to another episode of Off the Menu. I'm your host, Vincent Franchini from Tumblr House, here with a patriotic Charles Coulombe.
Yes, indeed, a patriotic Charles Coulombe. And you know why?
I do know why.
Why?
It's George Washington's birthday today.
It is. It is the father of our country. I'm wearing my U.S. flag lapel pin, you see, because this is a great day to be an American on. Ah, the red, white, and blue. Old glory, the stars and stripes forever. Yes, indeedio. The land of the free and the home of the brave. Columbia, the gem of the ocean. Oh, those broad stripes and bright stars, the perilous fight.
You know, I'm remembering a previous question where you were asked what was the most Catholic president in the history of the United States. And I'll never forget you said George Washington because he was closest to that world.
Yeah, and in likelihood, there's a very good chance he came into the church on his deathbed. This is something people fight over. But, okay. Now, mind you, he did start the French-Indian War, which, of course, is a strike against him in my book.
Yeah, because warring with the French?
Well, warring is one thing, conquering them is another. And of course,
there's that.
That was why we're doing this show in English instead of the beautiful, beautiful language called Canadian French, which you would be speaking had things gone otherwise.
I don't believe that, actually.
Oh, yeah. You'd be like Guy Lombardo when he was a boy. You'd be speaking French. Yeah, you'd be singing Old Lang Syne en français. It would be good. It would be good.
You know what? I'm going to leverage that into a very quick memes of production because you deserve it, Charles. We're going to go straight to the memes of production right now. Bring it down. Bring the icon down. Okay, here we go.
Nationalize the memes.
Nationalize the memes. Here we go. So you're talking this stuff about France. Here's a tweet that I retweet. This magnificent tweet. French isn't a real language. The French are a myth. France doesn't exist. 2.5 thousand likes, almost 600 retweets, including mine.
Do you see this tie, smart guy?
No.
Well, that's too bad. Because it's covered with fleur-de-lis. It was bought in Paris. And I'll tell you something else. It's the tie that binds. It's true. And I got to tell you something else since you're going to be bagging on God's own people.
What?
And that is that you would have been a happier person had you been raised speaking French instead of English.
Why?
You would have been happier.
Yeah, I know why. That's quite an
Because on the average, French speakers are happier than English speakers. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that?
Oh, yeah, it's well known. Studies show. And you know how studies are. The Institut Pasteur, the Sorbonne, the Université de Paris, they have all made studies. Laval Université in Quebec, they have all made studies which have shown the same thing.
Who are your favorite French comedians?
Woof! Zouzou Latouf.
Where's all the big-time French comedians?
There aren't any in English.
Aha. But see, I mean, if you're the big time, you're doing business in America, right? Like, if you're good, right?
Only if you're good at English. Although, the man who made up for it, who put paid to everything, was the late, great Maurice Chevalier.
Okay. Go on.
Well, look him up. He was the epitome of the pre-World War II Frenchman, and he was absolutely wonderful. And if you were as young as you are, you would have heard of him.
Okay.
That's right.
You got me, Charles. Okay.
I do have you. You're absolutely blown to bits. And you don't even know it. It's true. Jean-Paul Belmondo. There you go.
There you go. Okay, let's just do this other meme while we're here. From
All right.
David Thrower, superfan David Thrower. Charles dreaming of glorious restoration of the Habsburgs.
Yes.
Little crown
I
here.
look very happy there.
Yeah, very happy. Yeah, sleepy time, Charles. Very happy. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, those items, that very comfortable blanket with the Habsburg coat of arms and that pillow are both available on our Teespring store.
Let me ask you, how much do they cost together?
Together, actually, they're pretty expensive. That is a really incredible blanket, a fleece blanket that I actually use. I think that's $40.
All right.
Yeah.
So if they ordered that because it's over 25, it'd
No.
be free shipping and handling.
No, it's a different website, Charles.
Oh.
I'm sorry. But I will say this, just to redirect the conversation. If you're in Europe, you can get our merchandise. I know we don't sell our books to internationally, but international fans can buy, the pillow, the wall tapestry, the blanket, the mugs, all that good stuff.
All the swag.
The swag, yeah.
Well, that's but they don't get the 25 free.
No.
What if they ordered $25 or more worth of books? Would they get the free shipping and handling?
No, it doesn't work like that, Charles. Gosh.
No. If you're in the States and you order $25 or more worth of books, would you get free shipping and handling?
You bet, Charles.
You get free shipping and handling if you ordered $25 worth of books from Tumblr House within the United States?
That's right, Charles.
Oh, I had no idea. Amazing what you learn on this show.
It is.
I would hate to seem like a shameless shill.
I know. So also, but I will say this. I'll leverage this into yet another shameless plug.
Okay.
One of the perks of becoming a patron for as low as $1 a month is you get 20% off on all of the merchandise, on the blanket, the pillow, the tapestry, mugs, 20% off.
Is that true if you're out of the country?
Out of the country, absolutely. Anybody who is a patron for as low as $1 a month gets 20% off. So if you're just interested in getting this, it makes sense to become a patron just to get that discount.
But what if you're off-world?
Off-world? We don't currently, our distribution does not handle like Mars, unfortunately.
So basically our interplanetary fans are stuck.
For now. For now.
All right. For now. Okay. Just about to check.
All right. So what else is going on, Charles?
Well, as I say, it is Washington's birthday, but it's more than that, because if you're a Boy Scout, today is Founders Day. Yes, it is the day upon which Lord Baden-Powell was born.
Lord Baden-Powell?
Baden-Powell.
Baden-Powell, okay.
He actually pronounced it Baden-Powell, but that sounds kind of weird. And he was the founder of the Boy Scouts worldwide, internationally. And his wife founded the Girl Guides.
The Girl Guides?
Yeah, that's the English version of the Girl Scouts. The Girl Scouts are actually older than the Guides. But anyway, so BP, as he was called, not British Petroleum, he was, in fact, the founder of the Scouting movement. And I was an Eagle Scout, as was my brother and 5 of my 6 nephews.
Was Lord Baden-Powell Catholic?
No, sadly.
Oh, okay.
But one thing about scouting was that there were, in my day, a lot of Catholic troops. You had to, they had the religious awards, which were a big deal to get. And for Catholics, there were the Parvuli Dei for Cub Scouts, and the Adultari Day and the Pius XII for Boy Scouts. Of course, scouting is now, like the Knights of Columbus, in disarray. And just in time for this Founders Day, the Boy Scouts of America have declared bankruptcy.
Wow.
Yep. But there it is. Now, when everyone sees this show, it's going to be Monday. And that means Lundi Gras, the day before Mardi Gras. And so it'll be Carnival. People, you should be celebrating, provided you plan to do your fasting and abstaining during Lent. Dun, 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 dun. Well, you get the idea.
Yeah.
So are you going to be going to the Mardi Gras parades in downtown LA?
No, sadly.
No?
Are there Mardi Gras parades in downtown LA?
No.
Okay, well, then I won't be going to them.
So you're boycotting them.
Yes. Yes.
You're too good to be seen at that kind of popular entertainment.
That's right.
Okay.
No, yeah, I've been living it up. You know what I really enjoy? I've really recently gotten into, I don't know if you know this, Charles, but boba. You know,
the tea.
Like Tapioca Express. It's like, yeah, milk tea, but then it's got the tapioca balls in. And they're so, it's a different experience. It was shocking at first. You know, my Chinese friends showed me this, and I tried it, and I was like, what the hell? But there are some of the tastiest drinks you will ever have with, like, brown sugar milk with tapioca in. It's unbelievable. I highly recommend it.
So you're becoming completely sinicized.
Sinicized?
Yes, Chinafied.
Chinafied?
That's okay.
So me just trying boba means I'm entirely Chinafied.
Completely.
Completely?
Did you celebrate the Year of the Rat?
I was born on the Year of the Rat. How do you
So
like
was
that?
I.
Yeah.
So was I.
Wow, so we're rat brothers.
That's great, I guess. Of course, if we were Year of the Dragon brothers, I guess you'd be,
Yeah, it's more exotic. Yeah.
Is Year of the Rat. Well.
So how are you living up, Charles? That's how I'm living up.
Well. Oh, sorry. What am I doing? Well, I actually had an old friend I hadn't seen in years here, and I showed him around Vienna yesterday. Tomorrow night, Monday night, I could go to the Rudolphina Ball. I probably won't this year. I went last year. It was great. Absolutely great experience. But I have a lot of work to do this year.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because so obviously in America we don't really have balls, but in Europe, so are there a bunch of these things over there?
Yes,
formal,
there are.
Formal ones,
Yes.
like classical. Wow.
White tie. Yep.
Wow.
And now we got the Rudolphina Ball, which I'm not going to, is at the Hofburg, the old Imperial Palace. As I say, I've been there before, and I've been to the Rudolphina last year. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. The grand entrance takes an hour and a half. There's so many people, all in white tie and ball gowns. It's kind of like the patrons of the pre-show.
Exactly like the patrons of the pre-show.
Yeah, but it's really quite a scene. And then of course, in Austria and Bavaria, Carnival is called Fasching. In Western Germany, it's called Carnival. But it's all masks and balls and costumes and fireworks and parades and so forth. A lot of drinking, a lot of eating. And it all comes to a screeching halt, just like our Mardi Gras. At midnight, Mardi Gras to Ash Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Catholic world is rejoicing right now, but it won't last long. I always look at this as sort of the very last gasp of Christmas.
Really?
Yeah.
I will, we never took our Christmas lights down inside, because with my, I don't mean to be a downer or
you don't want to harsh my
thoughts, but just in terms of my situation and recovering from the loss of my dad, and I'm still living with my mom. We the house is so empty, so just one of the ways we, I don't know, just kind of keep it bright is we have the Christmas lights over the fireplace and over the bookshelves still. It just makes it a little brighter.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
we need a little Christmas right this very minute. Stockings on the mantle, carols at the spinning, and we need a little. Well, anyway, you get the
Yeah.
idea.
Yep.
I think that if there's any antidote to sadness, it's Christmas.
That's true.
Uh, it turned out this year was your last Christmas with your dad, and so the memory of it will be poignant for the rest of your life. But there'll be other Christmases, and next Christmas you'll be in a home of your own with a wife of your own, and maybe even a kid on the way by then.
Yeah.
It'll be a very, very different Christmas from any of the ones you've known.
It's very true. Kind of scary almost, but we'll see.
Life is like that. I mean, whenever you have to make any great transition, much as you might enjoy it, much as you look forward to it, you're always a little fearful of leaving the familiar behind. I mean, I'm still trying to get over the trauma of my first day in first grade.
No, you're not.
I'm not. Thought I was. And for that matter, I'm still trying to deal with Y2K.
Wow.
What? You don't understand. I'm a man of the 20th century.
Yeah.
I was 40 years old when the century changed. You understand that? I was formed in the last century. I've got 20th century attitudes. I was a young man in the 80s of the last century. Blues, 20th century blues are getting me down. Yeah, that's what I come from. And now you young people expect me to deal in a whole new century.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Now
it's the roaring 20s. Well,
that's fine.
Anyway.
That's fine. All right.
All right. Let's move along.
Let's get to
this
the
is
questions.
Called wool gathering. What we're doing.
Wait, what did you say?
What we're doing is called wool gathering.
I've never heard of that. What is that?
It's when your mind goes off into 100 different directions that have no real productive value. You're just sort of wandering in the fields of your own mind. Only we're doing it together.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it is, actually. But,
all right, let's get on to the questions.
All right.
The first question is from Garrett.
Hello, Gary.
Garrett.
Oh, Garrett.
Yeah,
hello,
Garrett.
Garrett.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Does coronation make a man a king and invest in him the responsibilities and authorities thereof? Or does coronation make visible an already pre-existing regality intrinsic to the man due to who he is? There are many nations without sovereign states, say the Cherokee or the Ainu. Is it possible to have a king over a nation in the absence of a corresponding state?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. It's not that obvious in Europe, of course, because the people of the states tend to be very similar. But in the third world, you see a lot of this. To answer your first question, of the two alternatives you offer, it's the second, because a king does not generally. Now, that's not true in some countries, but generally speaking, a king does not need to be crowned to be king, but it is the public recognition of his office. And of course, if it is a church coronation, it is the church's blessing upon his reign and the church's bestowal authority and legitimacy of it.
So it just makes visible he is who he is.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Next question is from Amy.
Hello, Amy.
Hello, Charles and Vincent. Please help relieve this burning question. We save any paper with sacred images to be burnt. But what about those cheap chaplets, rosaries, and the like that come free in the mail and hopelessly fall apart within 5 minutes of use? They aren't worthy for regifting to anybody. Thank you very much.
Well, frankly, I would stick them in a drawer. That's where I'd usually go. But the other thing you could do is bury them.
Why?
Well, because that's how you get rid of sacred things. You burn them or you bury them. And you don't really want to burn a plastic rosary.
I mean, okay. That's kind of... So you can't throw it in the trash, but you can bury it.
Yeah. Well, same with the flag. You could bury the flag. When you're disposing of a U.S. flag, you could burn it or you could bury it.
Wow. Where did you hear this from? Just to...
It's something I've always known.
Something,
I don't know.
Oh, okay. It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I guess it makes sense. It sounds right. So I'll roll with that.
Best to my knowledge, it is right.
Yeah.
Although, as I said, with me, I just dump things in a drawer and they vanish.
You're right. Same here. All those gifts from Robert Ritchie and that Fatima nonprofit. Do you ever get this? All these envelopes with like rosaries. He actually even sent a book. They're trying to solicit donations. I forgot what Fatima.
You guys are really cashing in on the free tchotchkes.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I don't know how he can do that. Give away so much free stuff. Anyhow.
All right.
Next question is from Y.
Why not?
How was the original Jewish monarchy set up? I know that the mother of the king ruled as queen and not his wife. Was there anything else peculiar to their system of governance? How did the tribes rule?
Well, that's a good question, and it's not one I really have a very good answer to. The tribes were, of course, the constituent parts of the kingdom. In the same way that the states are the United States. I don't know what the actual division of powers was between them.
So the tribes were ruled by kings and not judges?
No, they were ruled. Pardon me. They were ruled by their own heads, their own tribal chiefs. But how it worked, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
It's a good question. I'm sure there's an answer to it. I just don't have it.
Okay, so no other peculiarities to their governance, Jewish monarchy?
Well, I mean, don't forget the United Monarchy didn't last very long. It broke apart under Solomon's son. So, its major role was to defend the temple and to ensure the worship of God. So, there you go. That's peculiar.
So it wasn't to keep the king's peace.
Well, I suppose it was. Every monarchy is, but they had the added challenge of being the chosen people.
Interesting. All right, next question is from Thomas. Hello, Charles and Vincent. A question for both of you. How do you reconcile the God of the Old Testament, the one who would ask a father to kill his own son or turn cities to ash or kill the firstborn children of Egypt, with the God of the New Testament, who is widely called the God of love and promotes turning the other cheek, rather than the God of vengeance and jealousy in the old?
Well, obviously a lot of theologians have wrestled with this very point, but the consensus would be that our relationship with God changed with the incarnation. Because remember, before Christ died, before he came, human beings were a pretty nasty lot. They were very difficult, not just to each other and not just to God, but in general. And so, I would say that when God chose to become incarnate as man, his relationship with us changed. And the apparent difference between the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New is reflected by that.
Okay.
And notice he didn't actually have Abraham kill his son. It was only a test of his loyalty.
I was watching EWTN with Scott Hahn,
Huh?
and I forgot this other gentleman, Protestant convert. They were just talking about that, Abraham sacrificing Isaac. Yeah, through their studies, they determined that Isaac wasn't actually like a young boy. He was like a grown man in his 30s and was like, willing to be sacrificed. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't like some dumb young child. Like, huh? Why do you got
Yeah.
the dagger behind you? No, I'm serious. Like
better
that
to
totally.
stab you with, my son.
Yeah, no, that totally changed the image and my perception of what's going on there. So
Sure.
that was. Don't you think that's fascinating? That Isaac
Yeah.
just, yeah. That totally changed, and it's kind of like a precursor to Jesus.
Well,
where
it is. It is, especially with him being the willing sacrifice.
Yeah, that was
So.
fascinating. Okay, and so one other tangent in this. So, in the Old Testament, after the flood, Noah's flood, didn't God promise to never do that again?
He did.
Yeah. So there's that.
The other thing too you got to bear in mind is that the Canaanites, whom he had the Jews slaughter, were very nasty people all on and of their own. So.
Yeah, but I always wonder, like in terms of nastiness, where we rank.
Well, let's see. The Phoenicians, who were the only Canaanites who really kept going, they sacrificed their children for material gain. They would murder their infants.
Yeah.
No, we're nothing like that.
Yeah.
We're perfect and pure.
Okay. Next question is from Brian. Charles, many in traditional Catholic and far-right circles seem to prize freedom of speech. I think the left may actually have the right idea in attempting to suppress speech they don't agree with, which Catholics also used to do with instruments such as the index, obscenity, and blasphemy laws, and lèse-majesté. Truth does not always win out in the free marketplace of ideas. Some men's intellects are brighter than others, and we all have a fallen nature. How would freedom of speech be ideally regulated?
Well, as it has been in Catholic societies. I mean, you wouldn't be allowed to publish, put out, or express in a public forum obscenity or profanity or blasphemy. You wouldn't be able to attack the church. Like that.
Okay. So, okay, I'll leverage this into the next question because it kind of deals with the same thing in terms of perhaps an integralist position. Question from Peter. Please, could you describe Calvin's Geneva? It seems like it was a horribly revolutionary place that tainted the whole idea of integralism. It has been described as a, quote, city of glass, because Calvin's religious police surveilled every aspect of social and domestic life. Children were tested to recite Calvin's confession. People were fined for not attending preaching. All breaking of the 10 Commandments were civilly punished, and for over 150 years, not a single musical instrument entered the city. So, could you describe Calvin's Geneva and what's its implications? I mean, is it a black mark against integralism? Things like that.
Well, look, integralism is a system like any other. Number one, Calvinism and Catholicism are not the same religion. One of the big things about integralism, quote unquote, is that people forget that one religion is not like another. If you make religion the defining center of a given society, Everything will hang upon what that religion is. Calvin's Geneva was a hellhole, not because it was integral, but because it was Calvinist. It's that simple.
Playing devil's advocate, couldn't you have a Catholic corrupt version of Calvin where I forgot who's the medieval
Savonarola.
guy? Savonarola. There we go.
Savonarola.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting burned.
Well, there you go, right? I mean, isn't that the Catholic version?
Well, except that he got burned. Calvin didn't.
What does that prove?
What it proves is that in a Catholic setup, because Calvin was both the high priest and the ruler of Geneva. Outside the papal states, that kind of theocracy and certain ecclesiastical dominions, that was not the norm in Christendom. You had your temporal and your civic leadership. Usually, if the temporal leadership was bad, the religious leadership was good, and vice versa. Checks and balances, as you might say.
Oh, I get it now. I get it. That's all you had to say, Charles. Checks and balances. That means it's good. It's good. We get it.
Okay.
We understand.
You are a true blue American. I'm Washington. Okay. That's great. And of course, it's your choice.
All you have to say is we have a choice. We can choose what we want, and then checks and balances and freedom of speech. We're good.
That's right. Back in the good old days when every newspaper had a religion section Friday or Saturday, they would have a list of the local churches, usually headed with the statement, "Worship at the church of your choice." And then they'd have this whole set of things. So I often thought that if I ever started a congregation, I would call it the church of your choice. Because I'd get all this free advertising from local papers. They'd say, "Worship at the church of your choice." So there we'd be. The church of your choice.
Of course, yeah.
But seriously, it's not integralism or having religion at the center of national life that's the problem. The problem is the nature of the religion that you use. The difference between Catholicism and all the others is that Catholicism is true. The others are not. So what does that mean? It means that the others are, to a greater or lesser degree, repugnant both to God and to human nature. I'll put this another way. Let's say you've got a company. Now, the CEO of a company generally has very wide-ranging powers. Doesn't matter who he is. He's got very wide-ranging powers. He can do this, he can do that, and so on. Now, imagine you've got two candidates for CEO. One is very honest and very hardworking.
Yeah.
And he knows what the business is about.
Yeah.
The other is very devil-may-care. He doesn't really know much about the job, and he doesn't mind embezzling if he runs short of dough. Now, it's ridiculous to say that these men would be equal as CEOs, or that if you get the bad CEO in there, the reason why things are so awful is because of the CEO's powers. No, it's because of the man you've got as CEO. You see?
I see.
If you have a quote unquote established church, that's true. It's very different than if it isn't.
Okay. I'll leverage this into another thing that we've talked about in the past, which I found fascinating and surprising, which is your adaptability in terms of the system you're presented with. I remember, so integralism seems to require a pretty strong state. Okay?
It requires a strong church and a strong state.
Yeah.
And it requires a church that is willing to act as the conscience of the state, and a state that is willing to assist the church in the accomplishment of her mission of salvation of souls.
Yeah.
And one way it does that is providing for its citizens, because if people are starving, they don't really think about heaven and hell.
So what I was getting at is while you have the integralist position, you don't feel, given our situation in this society, I think you've said something like you're as libertarian as possible, or something like that.
Well, given
Because
the leadership we have,
yeah,
yeah.
considering the leadership, you don't want to give them, you
No.
know,
Well, see, this is the opposite end of it.
yeah,
An integralist system that's dominated by a false idea, like Calvin,
yeah.
would be evil,
There you go.
like Calvin's Geneva.
Yeah,
I mean, where people make the mistake of, they say, oh, integralism, it's all this. No, it all depends on what the dominant philosophy is and what the state church is.
yeah,
That will tell you whether it's good or it's bad. I know that it's favorable, that it's common today to say, oh, well, we've got to be fair about this. No, we don't. No, we don't. Otherwise, those who feel that you can walk off the roof with impunity should be given equal treatment with those who think, no, you'll die if you jump off the roof. You should use these stairs and go downstairs that way. These are two different views.
So I'm trying to tie this back to Brian's previous question on freedom of speech. So he's saying, should we do a good job of regulating it? And I'm wondering if here you're saying no, because consider our state religion and those in charge, they're going to misuse it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so in other words, I'm not against the regulation of freedom of speech by the state. I'm against the regulation of freedom of speech by this state.
Right. Right.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
It would be different if we had a different state. Similarly, I'm all for judicial power if you have an honest judiciary. But if you don't, I'm against it.
Yeah.
I'm all for tough and law and order if the cops aren't on the take. You know what I'm saying? But if the cops are on the take, I'm not really. I don't bleed blue if the cops are on the take.
Yeah, if we're living in Chicago in the 20s,
then yeah, I'll go. Anything for our boys in blue. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Then I think I better lawyer up.
Yeah, so
it's a bum rap. It'll never stick, Flatfoot. That's what I would say.
Yeah. So I just wanted to do this because I think there's a lot of people who have a false impression about you, that you have this weird, inflexible system, when really, as you say, it depends on what we've got.
Yeah, and what we have now. I mean, similarly, you could ask me, would I overthrow what we have now?
Okay.
No, I wouldn't overthrow it, because as things stand, what we would have would be something worse.
Sure.
That's why the church is very clear about both just war and just revolt. You only do it if not doing it would bring about something worse. And actually, that usually doesn't happen. It does happen sometimes, as our friend Stauffenberg found out with Hitler.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen very often. Stop and think for a second. Look at the American Civil War, or look at World War I. If either Lincoln and Jefferson Davis on the one hand, or the triple entente of the civil powers on the other, the central powers, if either set had realized what they were going to letting their people in for, the horror, the sheer horror that would be unleashed, do you really think they would have been so immovable on matters of precedence and who's got what?
Mm.
Are either the sovereign right of states to rule themselves, or the unity of this glorious union, were either of them worth thousands upon thousands of people dead?
No.
Well, and similarly was either Serbian independence or the proper punishment of those involved who murdered Archduke Franz Ferdinand. At the end of the day, was what World War One produced worth either of those things?
No.
No. No, they weren't. They weren't. And we live with, especially if you're American, we live with the results of both of those horrors today. So, you've got to be willing to tolerate a lot of terrible stuff if the alternative is worse.
Yeah, well, I think it's a natural trap for people to do and think about overthrowing blah blah blah, because the grass is always greener. The grass is always greener,
All we have to do is throw these people out and everything will get better. I mean, how much better were we in California under Arnold?
Yeah, we weren't that much better.
No. So, but fortunately, there was no bloodshed involved. Of course, I was hurt because the person I voted for governor in the recall election nowhere near the top.
Who was that again?
Angeline.
Angeline?
Angeline.
Who's that?
The billboard lady. The shocking pink Cadillac.
I don't know.
Shocking pink Corvair. Oh, she used to have her billboards all over the place. Big blonde do, pouty little mouth, highly developed lungs. Always ran around town in pink and had these billboards everywhere saying Angeline rocks LA.
What was she selling? I don't get it.
She was selling Angeline. But I voted for her for governor.
Very good.
She was on the ballot.
That's fine. Yeah, I know. What, Gary Coleman was on the ballot too? And
yeah, there were like 73 people on the ballot.
How much did it cost to get on that ballot back then?
Oh, I don't know, but it was wonderful to see everybody and his brother on there.
Yeah.
There was someone on the ballot that year I would have voted for if Angeline had been on. Venus de Milo.
Yeah, after the painting.
After the statue.
Or the statue, excuse me.
Yeah. I don't know who that person was, male, female, or undeclared, but I would have voted for him.
Wow. That's wonderful, Charles.
Well, a vote for Venus de Milo is a vote for the arts. That's what I would have said.
There you go. All right, time for the book. Got a good book. One of the classics, The Way of Perfection by Saint Teresa of Avila.
Oh, jolly.
This is a pretty advanced spiritual book in terms of like the writing. Like it's very how would you describe it, Charles? How would you describe Saint Teresa's writing? Dense?
Dense is exactly the word.
Yeah.
So don't read it fast.
Yeah.
Read it slow.
Yeah.
Read every paragraph a couple times. It'll reward you, but you have to read it with attention.
So there's a couple so many of these Catholic saints, it's their words start to blend together after a while.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think I realized why that happens. It's because St. John the Baptist line, that I decrease so that he increases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like all these saints are such a perfect reflection of Jesus. You know what I mean? And so it would make sense that it all blends togetger.
They're all celebrating different aspects of our Lord.
Right, exactly. So I'm going to try to cover some of the interesting points in this book. She talks about how to pray well and kind of contemplative mental prayer versus what do we call it? Verbal prayer, where don't sweat it if you don't do contemplative prayer. There's a lot of people who just do verbal prayer. but I think she particularly talked about the Our Father and how to pray the Our Father well, and she meditated on various aspects of the Our Father. I remember for talking about "Give us this day our daily bread."
Yeah.
Apparently, is not she doesn't feel that it's talking about the necessities of life. She feels that that's deeper. How do you feel
Well,
about it? Or maybe
well,
both.
as I say, you stole the words out. I think very possibly both. I mean, one version of the Our Father in the Gospel, and say the Gospel of St. John, has instead of our daily bread, our super substantial bread,
Hmm.
which would obviously refer to the Eucharist.
Yeah.
Uh, but the I think that in all likelihood, you could say that Saint Teresa is a good companion for Lent.
Absolutely. Um. So, talking about Lent in upcoming, one thing that's really important about Lent in terms of, so we're gonna do the abstinence and fasting and all this and that. That's great. But you know what you also need to do in tandem with that?
Almsgiving.
Well, that too. Our local priest is big about that. That everyone always forgets the almsgiving. A little conflict of interest, but yeah. Um, uh,
But you've got to increase your prayers.
increase your, but also stay out of sin,
Yeah.
because the whole thing of Lent is, with the fasting and abstinence, is you're teaching yourself to accept suffering and to remove those inordinate attachments.
And one thing you can do that's very helpful for that during Lent is as often as you go to church, make the Stations of the Cross.
Oh, on Sundays.
Yeah, or if you go during the week.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, we go on Fridays.
Well, that's the official Stations of the Cross.
Oh,
But you don't have to wait. You can do it on your own.
do you need a booklet for that? How does that work? I never thought of that.
Well, there are all sorts of booklets out. St. Alphonsus Liguori has one method. You can go online, look up Stations of the Cross, and you'll see all sorts of versions of them. And then the simplest way is simply to go to each of them, think of the particular station. You genuflect and say, "We adore thee, O Christ, who bless thee, because by thy cross thou hast redeemed the world." Say a Hail Mary, and move on. That's the lazy man's quick way.
Gosh, I got to investigate that more. I got to put some books on the store. I think that's a great idea, Charles.
I have them occasionally.
Okay, a couple other things St. Teresa talks about, which is interesting, really important tips for the spiritual life. And this is one that I feel is especially relevant for all trads, you, me, all traditionalists, which is, St. Teresa says the most important thing in a spiritual life is to be honest about your failings, because if you think you have virtue in which you don't, you're dead. Your spiritual life your spiritual life is stunted. You're done. Because how can you improve? Because you think you're already there.
You can't grow because you're already there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've already achieved it.
Yeah, and so I think this is especially important. I know for me in examining, my failings, and I'm sure that's applicable for everyone else. And all the other thing that my mom always used to say this. I'd like to hear your opinion. In the spiritual life, you're either going forward or you're going backwards. You're never, if you think you're staying the same, you're actually going backwards. What do you think about that?
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I certainly agree. I also know that there are times when you feel absolutely full of zeal, and there are other times you're just sort of going through the motions. But even going through the motions is better than doing nothing.
Yeah. I always use my gym metaphor. It's always better to go to the gym and do a weak exercise, or just walking, or any exercise, than just saying, well, I'm not going to exercise at all today. Because these are spiritual exercises we're talking about. So,
And you need them, and Lent is a great time to refocus.
and I know the saints. I know the saints have said that in terms of saying the rosary, it's not always the one where you're zoomed in and you're meditating perfectly and you're really locked in. So, perhaps Saint Teresa said this, but some of the very probably de Montfort too, probably de Montfort, where he says when it's really these nasty distractions that keep popping in and you're fighting through it regardless of this, and there's just those are some of the most merit-worthy rosaries is when you have to fight through things.
It's true.
So,
very true.
So I could talk about spirituality forever, but I don't want to bore everybody because people never like when we talk about spirituality. They want the scandals. They want.
Well, actually, did I tell you about the axe murderer who said 17 rosaries a day?
The axe murderer?
Yes, who said 17 rosaries a day.
Tell me about him.
Well, I don't know. Our listeners would really want to hear about scandal, not spirituality.
Oh, right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I don't want to sound as though I'm pandering to their lowest desires.
Gosh, I'm tempted to rant about it, but I'm not going to.
I don't rant. We're not going to rant. But at any rate, St. Teresa of Avila for Lent, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Oh, you know what, Charles? I've left off a question for this show. Oh, gosh.
Oh, lucky me.
Darn it.
A question. Another question.
Man. Okay, wow. I'm sorry, everyone. Okay, so, wait. Well, what's this question?
Not as sorry as I am.
Okay, so a question from Aaron Hook.
Okay.
Okay. Dear Monsieur Coulombe, and a respectful bow to the plutocratic publisher.
Hey, that's you.
That's me, yeah. Is plutocratic, is that good or bad?
Oh, it's great.
Oh, okay.
It is saying you're a wonderful person who loves his fellow man.
Oh, wow. That makes... Wow. We got a truth teller over here in Aaron Hook. Okay. He says... I'm writing to you as the new editor of Hush Hush magazine and would like you to comment on 2 front page stories.
Hold the phone. Hush Hush is a great magazine. I've read it for years. Sid Hutchins used to be the editor. He came to an unfortunate end in the 50s.
Yeah, at the Victory Motel.
That's the one. Very sad. Poor Sid. He's always been actually my ideal in terms of journalism, so it's great to be dealing with his successor.
Yeah. Okay. So Aaron would like you to comment on 2 front page stories that will be published in their next issue.
I don't think I want to do that. I mean, this is going to be either going to be the bad boy from outer space, or it's going to be Elvis's miracle diet just discovered or something. I know how Hush Hush works. Oh. There's going to be some garbage. How do I feel about the Weinstein trial?
Okay.
Will I appear? What do I know and when did I know it? Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not. All right. Sid or Aaron or whatever you're calling yourself now, I had nothing to do with Weinstein. I never knew the man. I have not been subpoenaed.
There you go. Okay, so he wants you to comment. Firstly, in your capacity as a loyal peon of Tumblr House, what is your reaction to the claim from a confidential source on the QT that Tumblr House's publishing activities are merely a front for the Franchini family under its new enterprising boss, Don Vincenzo, to corner the world market in mackerel? Furthermore, it is claimed that in pursuit of this endeavor, Don Vincenzo had pistoleros redecorate the frontage of Acme Publishing's headquarters with Chicago typewriters. And that the day after the redecoration took place, Acme Publishing's owner woke to find a decapitated mackerel's head on his pillow next to him. Wow, what a bunch of garbage.
Okay,
I agree with you, Charles.
Well, he's touched on a couple of things, and I probably shouldn't be dealing with it here. Firstly, I will tell him, I will tell our audience what I told both the grand jury and the congressional committee. To the best of my knowledge and belief, after Don Vito retired from the business and moved out to LA in the 60s, the Franchitti family got out of the outfit and went legit, and have been purely legitimate in all of their dealings ever since. That is what I told the congressional people. That is what I told the grand jury. That is what I will tell you. It is unfortunate what happened over at Acme, but I'm sure it's the sheerest coincidence. I for one, am completely assured that none of the Franchittis had anything to do with that unfortunate occurrence.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier today. The bigger Tumbler House gets, the more successful Tumbler House becomes, the more enemies, the more, the bigger target we have on our back. And I think with these rumors, you see some of that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I just want you to know that as I told you before I went up before the grand jury, I told you before I went up before the congressional committee, I told you that I was going to stick by you. I said to the mattresses, and I meant it.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. I just appreciate it. You're just
well. Let me tell you something, kid. Anybody mucks with the Franchitti family, they muck with me, and there's no way that I'm going to let anybody burn on this deal. I mean, let me rephrase. I didn't mean that the way it sounded. What I meant to say was that, to the best of my knowledge and belief, neither you nor any of your employees had anything to do with this unfortunate affair.
Good. Let's see here. So the second thing he wanted you to comment on, he said, I would be grateful for your comment on the rumor that due to collection of crackpots and nutters currently running, you have put yourself forward for the Democratic nomination for the presidency with the slogan of, quote, a return to lunacy. It has been suggested that the central planks of your campaign would be the following two pledges. Number one, the annexation of Mars, with your rumored reasoning behind this pledge being that, and I quote, John Carter claimed Barsoom for us over a century ago, and I'm going to put a bloody great stars and stripes on it.
Well, all right.
And number two, the kidnapping of Justin Trudeau and then threatening the Canadians if they don't agree to pay off the U.S. national debt over the course of the next century, you'll be sending him back to Canada. Your comments will be greatly valued but not necessarily published, as we at Hush Hush know the truth is out there, which is where it should damn well stay, while we give the public and our fellow members of the Fourth Estate what they truly want, defamatory titillation. Kind regards, Aaron Hook, editor of Hush Hush magazine.
Well, I will. Firstly, let me say that the meetings I had with the gentleman from the Central Committee at the Travelers Rest in Ossining, New York, a few weeks ago, were purely unofficial. Nothing was decided. All alternatives are still on the table. I have not made up my mind yet. I was certainly extremely, how do I put this, extremely flattered to be approached. I appreciated the sentiment very much. Certainly, if I were the president of these United States, I would indeed honor the late, great John Carter's dream of an American Mars. When one thinks of all that he went through to achieve that end, the fights with the Green Martians, the exploits with Jada Thoris, and the races on the Martian canals, well, the least we owe our great countryman is to make his dream come true. As far as Justin Trudeau goes, I would never dream of returning him to Canada. I would never do that to him, to them. The Canadians should not deserve that abuse. They've been through too much already.
So we have to suffer Justin Trudeau down here?
Well, I was thinking it's not as bad as it seems because he's made a great career for himself as a rock singer, and I think that he would do really, really well in Hollywood.
Yeah,
If you
Justin
forgot
Bieber
politics,
Trudeau.
that's the one.
Yeah.
I think Justin Bieber Trudeau, if he went back to his original love of music, would certainly do quite well in Los Angeles, and it would cease to be a problem either for his country or ours.
That's true.
And as president of your Democratic Party, I would revive the proud traditions of Tammany Hall and Boss Tweed and Jimmy Walker, the Prince of New York. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. I would bring back the glory days of the party. When if it wasn't for sale, it should have been. That's right. I think the Democrats have a proud, proud tradition of holding segregation in the South, running party machines in the North. I mean, that is a rich heritage to draw on.
Tammany Hall. I mean, the legacy of Tammany
The
Hall.
legacy
To
of Tammany
continue the
Hall.
legacy.
It needs to be brought back. The legacy of George Wallace. All of these things, all kidding aside, for just a minute, Justice Thomas was being borked.
Wait, say that again?
When Mr. Justice Thomas was being borked to be made a justice, a chief justice, a Supreme Court justice, there was an editorial in the LA Times that attacked him as a nominee. And it said he lacks the scholarship of a Felix Frankfurter. That so-and-so was so-and-so. In other words, it was comparing him to past Supreme Court justices, and how he was nothing compared to them. But the line that almost sent me through the window was Thomas lacked the social vision of a Hugo Black. Well, yeah, that's probably true because Hugo Black was a Klansman. And I could almost swear that Clarence Thomas did not have the social vision of a Hugo Black. And I read that, and that was when I first began to realize these people don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So they know that nobody knows anything anyway, so nobody's going to call them on it. So they'll say stupid stuff, and they don't know if it's true or not. But it sounds good, And I think in the current state of the Democratic Party, I could do very well.
On Facebook, didn't you share the meme about Joe Biden going onto the Ed Sullivan show to?
I did. I thought Joe Biden getting on the Ed Sullivan show was, you talk about forward thinking, you talk about pushing the envelope. I tell you, Joe is where it's at. I mean, if he steps down, though, I'm throwing my hat in the ring. You heard it here first. And hush, hush, you publish it.
What prompted that, though? Are you like some of the John Wayne things that he said, or what? Why are you going after Biden?
I'm not going after Biden. I mean, he's the only adult in the race. You've got him. You've got Comrade Sanders. You've got Pocahontas. And you've got Butt Cheeks. Now.
Wait, what?
Butt Cheeks, Mayor Butt Cheeks.
Mayor Butt Cheeks?
Yes.
Are you talking about Bloomberg?
No, Butt Cheeks, the mayor of South Bend, Indiana.
What? Is that a name? Wait, I don't understand. Or is that just similar to the word butt cheeks? I don't get it. Wait, what?
Well, it was Buttigieg, Butt Cheeks.
Wow.
He's the gay guy.
Wow. We've gone back to high school, Charles, or grade school or something. Oh my goodness. That was... Wow. Mayor Butt Cheeks. Okay, great. Wow, Charles.
That's what they call him in South Bend. No, but he's got his husband as first man if he's elected. So these are the sideshow freaks that you got running. And Poor Joe Biden. You know, I have to say though that it was his resurrection from the dead that led me to believe that Obama was in fact the Messiah, because as you know, he raised him from the dead.
That's
For 10
true.
years, nobody had thought of Joe, and suddenly he's vice president.
I know. I know.
I, you know, it's amazing how much we've lost in terms of the amusement value of life.
Yeah.
And do you know what Jib Jab is?
Jib jab. No.
Well, Jib Jab is it's a company that makes sort of personalized cards, singing and dancing for the computer. But they used to do these hysterically funny year in review things, and then they'd have these special election year things, which were satires, funny as all get out. They don't do them anymore because you can't be funny anymore.
Yeah.
People would be all over them. So,
Anyhow, okay.
but
So Lent is coming, or well, no, it's what is it? Lundi, Gras.
Lundi Gras. Tomorrow for you guys, a couple of days from now for us, it's Mardi Gras. But at the stroke of midnight, stop your partying, leave the bar, go home to your wives. Ash Wednesday begins, and Lent begins. And it will be Lent for the next 6 weeks. And then Easter week. And you've got to celebrate Easter just as much as you fasted during Lent.
Oh, I don't think that's a problem for people. Oh,
Probably
I see.
not.
Oh, you're saying if they didn't fast that much, then it's not that big of a feast. I see.
No, it's not. But if they did, then they really, really need to let it all hang out. And the thing about Easter, of course, is you come to the inevitable question that assails me every Easter: ham or lamb?
We don't do a lot of lamb here. I'm pretty much a ham guy myself, but I could see
I
that.
like both of them.
I mean, the lamb, because Solange Hertz, I'm told, religiously had lamb on
Yeah.
Easter, and obviously, because of the sacrificial lamb and
Yeah.
the Lamb of God.
And I have my favorite Easters are those when I can get both ham and lamb.
Ham and lamb. Okay.
And eggs, deviled eggs on Easter.
Of course. You've got to have deviled eggs.
Yeah. And you know, it's the one day of the year when rabbits lay eggs.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. What do you guys generally do for Easter?
We always do ham, and then we have an Easter egg hunt for the kids. But we got plastic Easter eggs that you break open, and there's money inside. Usually like $1, I think, in most of them, and then $5 in some, and then maybe like $20 in one. What else? That's mostly it for Easter. And then we color the eggs. We have all these teacups,
Yeah.
and you put the little tablet in, and we actually color the eggs.
What about the Easter baskets?
Oh, we've got Easter baskets. Yeah, sure.
Ah,
And all the special Easter candy,
yes.
the Cadbury eggs, and then all the other sort of candy where it's like rolling the dice on what you're gonna have, and then
Yep.
you try the one, and it's like, oh, I got toothpaste in mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I'm borrowing. I borrowed that from Jim Gaffigan. That's one of his gags. But it's true. It's 100% true.
It is true. And then, of course, there are the chocolate bunnies.
Oh yeah, I love biting off the heads of the chocolate bunnies. And we actually discontinued it because I'm the only one who likes Peeps, the marshmallow Peeps. I like biting the heads off of the Peeps too. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but
Well, there was a cartoon by a very funny cartoonist called Kleeman that shows this really pimply kid sitting next to a pile of headless bunnies, chocolate bunnies. And he's holding a whole bunny. He's about to take a bite. And the caption was, Bobby lived in Vermont, where he ate only the heads on chocolate bunnies.
Okay.
It was pretty random.
Pretty random, yeah. But I can understand it.
Random is good.
All right, so we've been rambling for 20 minutes. I'm sure many people have tuned out. So that'll
Well, you've
do
tuned out, ladies and gentlemen, because you know why you've tuned out? Because we have been having a Mardi Gras relaxation.
Yeah.
But we're going to get you during Lent. You want the same hard-fisted whatnot out of us? You're getting it for Lent, kids.
Yeah. We're going to run a crusade against you sinners.
That's right. Every one of these. Hold on, let me get something here. A pencil will do. That's right. We're coming for you, sinners. You're really going to be sorry you ever sinned. This Lent is going to be the beginning of your true repentance when we're done with you. A reign of terror throughout the internet.
You're going to atone for
That's
everything
right.
you've done.
And you're going to like it. Oh, gosh. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's what can we tell you? It's been a hard build-up to Lent. But at any rate, stick with us. We'll see you next week. And remember, if it's Monday,
it's off the menu.
And the soul you save
may be your own.
God bless, ladies and gentlemen. And wretched Lent.